You turn your TV volume down a little bit.
That's part of the podcast. All right. Welcome, everybody, to an episode. Oh, sorry. Welcome, everybody, to an episode of the Floor Spacers podcast. I, of course, am Sean Roy, and this is the 16th episode. No, I'm kidding. But I am, as usual, the boy himself, Chrissy, and I'm joined today by some wonderful human beings. Hold on, before I do that, though. First up, I got to talk about the boy, Stephen Boyle. Steve, shout hello.
There's some good days in Sixers land. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, no one cares. Also, joining me as well is the fraud Mickey Mouse Lakers fan, Mr. ABJXII, Mr. Aaron. Say what's good to the peoples.
What's good? There are some bad days in La La Land, unfortunately. But we're gonna be back soon.
Facts.
But yes. Welcome.
As recording the podcast, the Lakers did go on a 15-0 run to close out the half. So that's very cool. And since these two did it, I'm going to say it's a very mid couple of days in Cleveland. And personally, just got to bed and watch film. Speaking of which, guys, if you guys want a live, comprehensive play-by-play overview of tomorrow's game, Philadelphia 76ers versus Cleveland Cavaliers, let us know in the description box below, chat box thing. And we're going to sneak in a camera and ignore the express written consent of the NBA and get you guys the details of the game. But I'm just kidding. Adam Silver, if you're listening to this.
NBA for listening, we're joking.
We're joking, of course. And Adam Silver come on to the podcast. Steve Jav, you come onto the podcast. We know Ms. Bernauer. And yeah, let's get it rolling. All right. So first off, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things to talk about. Actually, not really. Actually, yeah, it kind of is. So let's get right to the news. Yeah. Right. It recently came out a report that apparently the Wizards and Bradley Beal could potentially agree to a 5-year, $246 million extension if he declines his player option for the 2022-2023 season. Now, gents, upon hearing this headline, first of all, my question is why? Because obviously I know that none of us like this. And we think the Wizards should actually just commit to a full-on, rebuild and not, tie up all this money to just one guy, especially a guy who, I mean, like Steve said, I don't know if this was in a podcast before, but Steve was saying like he's not a number one guy on the championship team, which I must agree with. But yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about this, and why do you think, or what? I guess try to rationalize why do you guys think that Washington might be trying to do this?
I feel like they might be trying to do something like this because they've already put all this time and effort into trying to build something around them, and I feel like it just might be like they just really want to see it work no matter how they do it. Like with this Porzingis trade, the deadline, I feel like it's just like just another step, like another lateral move in, trying to build a competent team around Beal. But none of these teams have really gotten them anywhere, especially with Beal as like the head guy. Like Wall and Beal, they got him to the second round. Like even that team, it wasn't really like anything too crazy. But yeah, like I just don't. I think Beal would be a much better suited like playing off someone else as like a number 2 option on a really good team. I don't really think he's really suited to be that number 1 guy, and I especially don't think that Washington should commit. What is it, like 5 years, $240+ million supermax deal on Beal, who, as the focal point of their team these past however many years, they haven't even made the playoffs once last year and got swept by the Sixers, who were missing Embiid for a game in that series as well. Yeah, I don't think I think they should commit to a rebuild like you said, and I don't think they should keep milking this out any longer than it needs to be.
Yeah, me personally, I think they should just let him go and finally let Kyle Kuzma have the keys to the team. No, I'm just playing. But actually, no, I'm not playing. But well, Beal's getting old. That's one part. And if you for by the end of 5 years, like at the fourth or fifth year, it's not who knows if he's actually gonna be healthy and let alone like be like his like younger self by that time. We're just gonna be like 2026 or 2027 around there. Plus, like Steve said, it's just been like going on for a while. I feel like, in my opinion, Washington doesn't want to let him go because yeah, like they've been through a lot with him. Plus, like I feel like they're kind of desperate to just keep that star power in Washington because they haven't had really anything going for them for a number of years other than like like the John Wall stardom for a little while and then he got hurt and we see how that happened. So I don't think they should do this. I think they should move him now while he's like, hopefully like he can stay healthy and like I'm sure he could definitely help a playoff team. Like Steve said, like I think we all agree we don't think he's a number one option on the team, even though he's obviously an all-star and a great scorer and everything. I feel like he would work well in a different system, not be the number one guy. So like I feel like Washington just hopefully try to like get a trade for him somehow, like the next in the off season, or maybe like if they sign him to they can't sign him to a smaller deal, but just if they move him, get pieces now, that's probably like beneficial to them because if they keep him now, like what's going to be different in the next 2 years? Like they're not really helping him anyway.
I also feel like Washington kind of knows that, they're not really like a go-to free agent destination. So
Yeah,
like I feel like with them, they just want to like kind of have this guy who's been here his whole career so far and is a fan favorite there. And they want to do whatever they can to keep him there and try to build something around him out of like gratitude for him actually like committing all this time and loyalty to the team when others haven't. But yeah, like I still feel like they have some decent pieces right now that they could like kind of start a rebuild around. Like I really like what I've seen from Kuzma this year, like you said earlier. Kuzma's really like ever since joining Washington this year, he's rebounding at an incredible rate. He's hitting all these big shots. He's like one of the best clutch players in the league this season. That's pretty insane. It's been pretty efficient as well. He's made strides as a playmaker also. Like I've really liked what I've seen from him. I kind of want them to get Denny out of his shell offensively. Like defensively, I was never expecting him to be this good of a defender coming out of the draft last year, but he's made vast improvements on that end. He closes games with them on the other team's best defenders most nights. But I'd like to see him like kind of have the ball in his hands a little more too. But so yeah, like I feel like they have some nice pieces to start building around, and they can start to look for other guards in the draft this year.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think, yeah, especially when you have a guy like Beal's caliber, I think you can definitely try to flip him for some, really good assets. So,
There are definitely some contending teams that would love to have Beal,
yeah, exactly.
even if it's like something like even if it's just a 1 year rental or whatever for next season.
Right.
Like they could definitely get something of value for him.
Right. And exactly.
Yeah.
This is like Washington is no position to kind of really go for any sort of run. So, I mean, I think it's definitely time to move on from him. I think, all this talk, like, when all started with the whole him and John Wall thing, it was like, all right, it was understandable. And then like John Wall gets injured like 2016, 2017, and like more extension talks. And then it was more like, is he going to get moved? Is he not going to get moved, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like just doing that back and forth. And then now we're in 2022 and it's like he's about to sign like a 5-year extension thing. I think this is pretty stupid. And I hope the Wizards don't do it. But I guess moving on real quick.
Before we move on, actually, there's just one thing that I want to point out real quick.
Yeah.
Just also with the whole Supermax thing in general, I feel like teams should start just like taking notes from other situations and how their Supermaxes have like kind of impacted them also. So Washington themselves just gave John Wall a Supermax not too long ago. And ended up turning into one of the worst contracts in the NBA. And they had to like give up assets to get off of that deal. So I feel like teams should start like taking note of these things. Also, similar with the Westbrook deal too. Like these contracts are so big, and with the length of the contract being like 4 to 5 years, by the end of that contract, these players aren't going to be in their primes anymore. So they're going to have to give up assets to get off of them if they're in a position where they want to contend.
Right. Right. That's a great point. Um, yeah, and I feel like I think it's true in general. I think more teams should just be more like cautious. Not like I get that like the TV deals and all that stuff exist, and like the teams become like, oh, like, we got money, we got bread, we can bring people in. But I feel like just regardless, when like figures like that, bro, you just gotta be careful who you give it out to, especially when you consider like like injury and like replaceability and all of that. So. Yeah, that's a great point. But yeah, Steve, if you have nothing else to add, I guess we can move on. So one thing real quick that I saw today on Twitter was that Jokic is expected to sign a 5-year, $241 million supermax extension this offseason. And I mean, this doesn't really, I guess necessitate much discussion like the Bradley Beal thing. I mean, this is more of like a given thing. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously he deserves it. That's like a no-brainer thing.
Very much different situation than the Beal one in this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's
And
like
Denver is also like a suitable destination for people because they have caliber to like actually compete, unlike Washington.
yeah, exactly. And
Perennial
And
MVP candidate.
Jokic is actually worth it instead of like actually Beal.
yeah, right, because you're actually talking about a player that can just do everything on the court and is not just like a volume scorer type guy who's also aging. Um,
But yeah,
but I
like
guess
not really too much to add there. Like obviously Jokic was the MVP last season. He's going to be in that race this season. Like he's 26 years old, I think. So it's like he'll still be in his prime by the end of that deal. So there's nothing to really worry about with regards to that team. They're going to continue to build around him, no doubt. And just to transition off of this, there was news this week from the Nuggets that Michael Porter Jr. is potentially set to return sometime mid-March from his injury from the beginning of the season. And with the Nuggets, like I think they're 6th at the moment in the West. Can you guys see them being a potential dark horse to upset a top 3 team with Jamal Murray also set to return sometime before the playoffs or maybe around the playoffs?
I mean, it all depends on if they actually get like their rhythm back. It's like because easier said than done. Like it's obviously good that you have them back, but it's one thing to have them back on the court, and it's one thing to actually have them playing like themselves. Because you can't underestimate being out literally like almost all year and just coming back and expecting them to be at their best for like playoff time. So I personally like obviously they're one to be like afraid of. Like you should definitely be cautious, but I don't really think so. Unless Jokic comes out and sets the tone like he always does, but like he takes it up even like up a notch and everyone plays like themselves, then yeah, but I feel like you can't underestimate the time they miss. So I don't think so, to be honest.
um, yeah, I mean, I think I don't know about this season honestly, because obviously ACL injuries are kind of tricky, especially when it comes to like returning from them at full strength. I think he's definitely need like a full season to kind of get reacclimated to the situation. And I mean, same thing with MPJ. I mean, it's good that he's back, but um, obviously, again, like back injuries are also really tricky as well, and you definitely don't want to push anything and try to force anything, especially for I mean whatever's left of the season is like what 20 games left in the season, and then try to force yourself back into the playoffs. So I think, I mean, this season I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess it's good they're coming back this season just so they can kind of get a head start for next season. But I mean, it's obviously just very good in general that they're coming back just so that Jokic isn't out there just doing everything. Um, and I'm not going to say that it's not like a disservice to the other players in Denver because they have been doing their stuff too. I mean, I've always been, I mean, I'm not going to say a huge fan, but I've always liked, Monte Morris and, Will Barton and all of them. I feel like they've been pulling their weight. But I mean, it's clear that, Jokic is missing, a guy like, Jamal. He's missing a guy like MPJ.
For sure.
So I mean, again, it's good that he's coming back. It's good that Like I guess as far as like reinforcements go, it's good, but this year I don't know what they could really do. Because obviously like continuity is also a huge factor too. So I guess kind of seeing how that plays out is going to be a very, very interesting situation.
I don't know.
Can
Like,
I interrupt real quick?
go ahead.
No, you can't.
Are you guys watching this game?
Yeah, dude.
I'm looking at it off and on, and
It's 25-2 this quarter. I'm sorry. Like I had to interrupt. This is
Bro.
unbelievable. Actually, like this might be the worst quarter of basketball I've ever seen.
no,
In any league.
this is
This is awful.
this is literally just a repeat of that Pelicans game, that third quarter,
Oh my god.
bro. Like I was listening to a podcast earlier today.
27 to
I was listening to a podcast earlier today with Kevin O'Connor and Jason Maples. He's like a Lakers insider, I think, or reporter. But they were talking about the Lakers' recent stretch, and he made a really good point. Like every time the Lakers give up a run to the other team, the game is just over. Like they can
gave up.
they can just never come back with a run of their own. Or if
Yeah.
they do, it's too late. It's
yeah,
crazy, man.
yeah. Did they score? Nice. 6-minute drought over. Okay, I'm sorry. We can go back. I just had to bring that up.
No,
Yeah.
It's tough times for you right now. I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, on back to Denver, a competent Western Conference team in the playoff run right now. Yeah, but
That's
right now they're sixth in the West. They're a game and a half back from Dallas for 5. Dallas has also been on a roll lately, so I don't know if they'll be able to. Like, I'm not expecting them to overtake Dallas. Like, I feel like they'll probably finish around 6th come playoff time, which means they would match up against either Golden State or Memphis. And in a matchup against Memphis, I can honestly see, like, with a fully healthy Denver team, even without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. being 100%, I feel like they can maybe knock off Memphis in a series. Like, not to discredit Memphis at all because they've been amazing this year, but I think like with how Jokic performs in the playoffs every season, like he brings it to another level every year with his aggressiveness and everything like that, getting guys open, getting them shots. And like this season, they haven't really had a go-to number. They haven't really had a number 2 option consistently. Like Aaron Gordon's had his moments, Will Barton's had his moments scoring the ball. But even if they get like one of Murray or Porter Jr. to have a good offensive game, I feel like they can contend in the West with anybody.
I mean, yeah. If they get it going, yeah, but like just to add on, like if they go up against Memphis though, especially if Memphis has like home court for like the first round, I don't know. I think I might take Memphis in that series. Like Jokic obviously like is a problem like in the playoffs, but I don't know. I think like there's like so much momentum on Memphis right now, and that's like another thing you gotta take in consideration is like how they finished the regular season is one big thing also. Like how they finish, it's like momentum is a big thing in the playoffs also. So I feel like if it's Memphis and Denver in this case, I don't know. I think I have to go Memphis. Just based on momentum right now. But like you said, it all depends on if they get one of Jamal and Michael Porter back or Michael Porter back. And if they actually play to like their like normal standards, then yeah, I mean it'll be competitive though.
That's definitely a really good point about the momentum with Memphis and how they have it right now.
Yeah.
Especially after we saw what Atlanta did last season with their momentum they had going into the playoffs. But
Yeah, and
Aaron,
no
we
one
have
expected that.
we
Yeah.
actually in the comment section have a question for you from this is person, and they have a question for directed towards you, Aaron. They said thoughts on the Lakers losing a lot. Personally, I think they should trade Westbrook for Jamal Murray and trade AD for Ben Simons.
Trade who for Ben Simmons? Simons?
Trade AD for Ben Simons.
No, I'm fine. I mean, if we did Westbrook for Simons, then that'd be
Hold
pretty
on,
nice.
hold on. Shout out chat. I see the goat comments. Appreciate you. I love you.
Speaking of Westbrook, is he hurt? I think I don't know. I'm sorry, but you said who's in the chat? I can't see the chat right now.
It's from an account called Person, but
Interesting.
I've heard
Thoughts on
insider sources say that his real name is Kank.
Oh, interesting. Kank. Thoughts on the Lakers losing? I'm pretty much used to it, so it doesn't really bother me as much anymore. Uh, well, back if you asked me like 2 months ago, I'd be like not talking to anyone, but now I don't really I care obviously, but like I don't at the same time because if they're not going to show me effort and energy, why should I show my energy?
Yeah, it's okay.
So,
You get some extra excitement off of the NFL draft combine, right?
dude, there was some pretty crazy people in there, bro. I
We're not
struggled.
talking about the NFL draft combine.
Yeah,
All right, next topic, please.
I mean, you brought it up. I wouldn't have brought it up.
Okay, anyway, let's switch gears like LeVar Ball. So I
Shout out
guess
to Barball.
if we're staying in the West, I guess real quick, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. Um, so owner Sean Roy, I'm just kidding. Owner Mark Cuban. I remember there was a meme. I think I might have said this in the trade deadline episode. There was a meme that was like, it was like when Mark Cuban sees other teams getting fleeced at the deadline, and then it was a picture of Jordan, and it was like I took that personally. And at the time, I think we chastised this trade too. Um, the Dinwiddie for essentially the Dinwiddie for Porzingis trade. But the one thing I will say though is like again, like obviously if Dinwiddie came back from that injury healthy, then he would still be on the Wizards right now. And that's the only reason that we had any sort of, skepticism around Dinwiddie. But the thing is, like, again, if Dinwiddie were ever to find his niche again, his spark, then he could be a very good player. And I think the Mavs kind of taking, the roll of the dice and kind of, banking on, hey, like what if he does find it, here in Dallas, we could have something. And I think, so far, I think it's definitely been the right gamble. I'm not saying he's like he doesn't look at his Nets days Dinwiddie. I'm not saying that, of course, but he's been pretty productive. And in terms of, again, just it's not just Luka and Brunson who's just doing the shot creation, like, you know what I mean? It's like you're adding Dinwiddie, can also do that too, and then also the playmaking as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a really good pickup for him. For the Mavs, I think, um, yeah, it says here. I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier, but he's averaging 14 points per game, 2 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. With
Shooting really efficiently too so far.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
have.
I think he's near 60% actually, something ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's through 6 games with the Mavs where they have a 5-1 record. So, yeah, and I think look, I'll eat my words. I guess, look, I thought it was going to be a terrible trade. I thought it was just a trade just to do a trade, but I'm happy it worked out for them so far, and I'm happy Luka has another perimeter guy that can help him out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of underestimated this too at the deadline. Like I kind of thought this was more of a lateral move for them, considering I thought it was going to be more like try to get off of Porzingis now and then bring back 2 guys on like shorter term deals who you can maybe get off of their salaries easier. But Dinwiddie's actually proved to be pretty important for them in this recent stretch for them. I think they're 7-1 their last 8 games, and I think they are 5-1 with Dinwiddie. So yeah, he's definitely like brought us a new spark for that team off the bench. One thing that I underestimated also was, Dinwiddie. Part of the reason he wasn't playing really well was because he was kind of playing off of Beal. He wasn't really the main on ball guy, but in Dallas, he's got like kind of a lesser role coming off the bench and kind of leading that second unit. And he's had more freedom to do kind of what he did with Brooklyn that one year when after D'Lo was gone and he was kind of running the show there. So we're seeing a lot. It's not like the full unleashed version of Dinwiddie that we saw in Brooklyn, but he's kind of playing that same type of way again. So I think come playoff time, he's going to be pretty important for them. And he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Luka and Brunson when they're off the floor.
Yeah, I didn't really expect that to happen with the Porzingis trade all of a sudden for Dinwiddie, but then again, it's all about getting Luka help. So, and this is one good step in the right direction, and also the emergence of Brunson, which was really key for Dallas so far. So hopefully they can build off it. They hopefully get a solid playoff run. I don't see them obviously going far in the playoffs, but like it's definitely a good start right now, and hopefully they can add on like free agency and stuff in the draft if they have like if they have the chance to. So, but that's the main thing right now. At Dallas is really just to get Luca help and make sure he's happy with the overall situation
Yeah, like
because
I'm
he
not
wasn't
gonna lie.
before.
Like the
I'm
beginning of the
sure.
season when Jason Kidd was hired and the Mavs were kind of like looking pretty mid. Their offense was really bad and stagnant with like the whole thing where they were taking more like pull up mid ranges, like trying to play Porzingis in the post, and like they were kind of trying to transition away from Luca ball, but like the way that Kid put more emphasis on the defensive end of the floor, he has everybody kind of bought into that, especially Luca too. He's looking a lot better on that end too this season. Um, he's kind of playing like some hard nest defense. Like he's really good in the post because he's like kind of a bigger and bulkier guy at his position. And then also like they're switching more with the versatile lineup they're running with like Kleba and Dwight Powell mostly as their fives. And now that they're kind of they with Porzingis out of the lineup, they don't really have to cater to what he's been trying to do and getting him more involved now. They can kind of go back to what they were doing with Luca, like finding open shooters. They're not really hitting the three at a higher clip than they were in previous years, but this last run in February, they're shooting as a team like over 40%, which is absolutely ridiculous. So they're kind of finding their groove again. And if they can kind of continue this momentum, I could see them being dangerous in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, yeah, I really do wonder like what the playoffs going to be like for the Mets because when you think it, break it down. I mean, like Steve said, I think obviously their defense has been really cool this year. They made a huge jump in that, and I mean, the two main things about the playoffs is, or I guess the three main things is, well, actually, I guess the one overarching thing, and the two things that result from it is, the fact that the game slows down significantly in the playoffs, and that leads to, I mean, that basically means your team must be really good at defense, and you must really have one or two guys who can really isolate and at a really high level. And I mean, I think the Mavs have both of those things down. I'm technically, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, obviously you have the elite defense, and then you have Luca's elite, isolation play. But I mean, it's just a matter of hey, like, again, can Dinwiddie carry this into the offseason? I mean, not in the offseason, into the playoffs. Is his knee going to hold up? Hopefully Brunson can also continue this as well. And then, Dorian Finney-Smith, like, is a great role player. Again, he's got to continue what he's doing. I have no idea. I mean, I asked Steve this today. I have no clue what happened with Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't know what he's out with, but I mean, I guess if they can get him back ASAP, I mean, that would be really helpful as well. And it's just all a matter of, I mean, can those guys come in and continue what they're doing right now? Obviously, we know that Luka's going to do his thing. And then they have the personnel and they have the culture and the system to continue that defense. It's just a matter of, everyone else kind of continuing this. Um, and yeah, and I guess moving on real quick. I mean, if we're staying in Texas, um, actually, no, I guess we're not staying in Texas technically, but we're staying with a team that did something in the deadline in Texas, which was the Spurs, who sent out Derek White to the Celtics. Um, and so far, Derek White with Boston is averaging 12 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game on a 7-2 record with the team. And
They're the hottest team in the NBA right now.
yeah, undoubtedly the hottest team in the NBA right now. They probably should be like top 3, top 5 in defense right now. Like they definitely flipped a switch. They beat Memphis today. Horford's looking like classic Boston Horford. JT is doing his thing, and Brown didn't even play today. So it's definitely pretty scary what Boston's doing. I hope they lose a couple more games so that they don't, overtake us in the standings. But I mean, the Cavs will be back, but that's for a different discussion. But like we said in that deadline episode, they desperately needed a point guard, and Derek White came in and did exactly what they needed him to do, which is, I mean, occasional scoring, playmaking, defense, and I think he's just overall been part of that turnaround, that buy-in that Boston has been doing recently. And I mean, I don't like the Celtics at all. It's never that. I'm never gonna support them ever, but I guess it's good to see, something like this happen where, you can bring in a guy at the deadline and kind of just help. And then just seeing overall just kind of mood change among the players. Whereas before, like in this season and last year as well, it was just a very bland team to watch. So I guess it's pretty cool now. You know what I mean? I think the fact that they kind of addressed that need and kind of went forward from here is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Derek White is just like he's a Boston Celtics system. Like he's a perfect fit for their scheme. Like he's not a primary playmaker, but he keeps the ball moving in those like everyone in that team is moving the ball now. Tatum has had like huge strides as a playmaker this season. Jalen Brown's not like at the beginning of the season they were deferring just to ISO ball at the end of the games, but now they're running lineups where they have like all these guys who are willing to make the extra pass to find a better look. All of them can space the floor to some level, and all of them can switch on defense. Like literally 1 through 5. Everyone in they've been playing like an 8-man rotation with their 5 starters, and then like Grant Williams, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard off the bench. And their lineups have looked really good no matter who they've had on the floor. Everyone's hitting threes, which they were struggling with at the beginning of the season. Everyone's playing really good defense on both the perimeter and inside. Shout out to Robert Williams. He's been incredible this year. And yeah, they're looking like they can be really I could see them honestly making the Eastern Conference Finals. Not that I say they will, but I think they're up there in that second tier.
Really? You think they'll go that far?
I'm not saying that I think they'll go that far, but I'm saying
Like
it wouldn't surprise me. I've actually seen some betting, like some sports books having them like top 3 in
Yeah.
favorites to finish to come out of the East. Like that's how good they've looked recently.
Yeah, I mean, I still think if we match up against them, I think we'll win the series. But that's just me. Anyway, Aaron, you got some fan love in the comments.
I was just about to say that.
It says
What?
Aaron looks like he has the NFL offseason on his mind, which looks like it's very true. And then person said, Aaron, please stay focused. We have a strict schedule going on here. And then person just said, actually, no, I'm sorry about that. Nick Lyden said, Aaron, blink twice if you are okay. And then John Dude said, Aaron, please stop looking at the Lakers game. And then person said, thoughts on the NFL scouting combine. Aaron, you got any thoughts on that? I'm just kidding. I don't care. Also,
Yeah, I don't care either.
person
Also says that he needs some Pacers content right now. I will just say Tyrese Halliburton, there's your Pacers content. We're done with the Pacers.
Okay, very cool. I love the Pacers. All right. Anyway, moving on to the New Orleans Pelicans, or the Pelicans win without Zion.
Nice.
Thank you. So CJ McCollum came over in that deal, which we also talked about in the trade deadline episode. If you haven't watched that, please check it out. But he's averaging 27 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game. On a not as, I guess, inspiring record, but it is better than, I mean, I guess what they would have went without him, which is a 4-4 record. I mean, I think CJ's definitely been able to come in and do his thing in terms of adding that other perimeter threat alongside Brandon Ingram. I think the one thing I guess that kind of I don't know, impressed me this season from Ingram, I think the fact that his playmaking has took a huge jump. I think we've talked about that before. I'm not sure, but his assists have been going up. He's looking for guys now. He's using his gravity to his advantage, and I think adding a guy like CJ who can also do this more of the same alongside him is very important as well. And I think it just shows the willingness from the front office to kind of buy into that offensive direction with the team. And I think with Zion coming back, and the whole
If and when
it was
he comes back.
once he comes back. I mean, they actually uploaded a post on Instagram about him, so that's gonna be interesting. But
Really?
yeah, they did. It was
I
like
didn't see that.
they gave an update about like where he's at right now with his foot, I think. But yeah, I mean the complaint was there's no like offensive pieces or really sort of energy to kind of help Zion. But I think adding a guy like him and Devontae Graham and Ingram. Brought in Ingram, I think, goes back to what I said last episode. Like Zion has no, I guess, excuse at this point. Like they're accumulating a lot of offensive talent, and just overall, I think just CJ's been, doing his thing, and I'm happy he's been doing that. I think people kind of disrespect him a little bit ever since the Blazers got a little bit mid for the last season or two. I think people kind of just started ignoring what he's able to do on the floor, and I think him showing him what he can do, like for real, once he has the green light again, or and once he has like a coaching system and a fan base that is willing to accept what his game is about. I think he's been able to kind of show what he can do, and I mean it's good. I'm happy he's balling out, and I think again just right now it's cool to see. But I think again the real thing is when Zion gets back, and when the team gets healthy and when the team gets, I guess, acclimated, because I mean it hasn't been that many games yet, so I think that whole gel factor is still there. But yeah, how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, CJ's definitely brought some life into this offense for sure. I know they're 4-4 in the CJ era so far since trading for him, but 3 of those losses came to the Heat, the Grizzlies, and the Mavs, and they were all pretty close games. And then all of their wins have been like complete blowout wins, like 15 plus points in each one, I'm pretty sure. Especially that game against the Lakers, which was really impressive. Sorry, Aaron. But
Not
yeah.
impressive, really.
But
So-
yeah, CJ, he's kind of been like their number one scoring option since coming there. Like you said, I've been really impressed with Ingram. Like he's kind of acting like the point guard in that team right now. They put Devontae Graham on the bench, and they're kind of running like CJ and BI as the backcourt. And Ingram's kind of been like more pass first. His shot selection's gotten a lot better. I've noticed he's been shooting the ball a lot more efficiently lately. And CJ, he's been super impressive. Like they've got Jackson Hayes and Valanciunas starting together now. And Jackson Hayes has also been really impressive, by the way, as the 4, both defensively and like setting screens on offense, like kind of controlling mismatches there, allowing CJ and Ingram to cook less, like some bigger defenders off the dribble. But yeah, I've been really impressed with that. CJ's hitting like off the dribble threes at an incredibly high rate. I think he's like 50, 50, 90 since coming to the Pelicans, over 26 points a game. So yeah, I can definitely see them like, maybe, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs this year, especially with Zion not coming back. Well, we don't know if he's going to be back. It's not looking likely at this point, at least. So I can maybe see them giving some playing teams some trouble. But yeah, like I said, like that offense is looking really good right now. And if anything, they're going to look good next season if they're fully healthy.
Encus just said in the chat, Herb Jones with a heart emoji. And
Shout out Herb Jones. I love Herb Jones.
Herb Jones is a great rookie indeed. And that's because he played with Colin Sexton, so that's why he is doing his thing. Unfortunately, ratio. So
About Herb Jones, I don't know if I said this on the podcast before, but I think I've told Christy. But in the one game for Alabama, the thing that really made me notice Herb Jones before he came to the league was this one game where he was playing with, I don't know if it was like a broken arm or a fractured arm, but he injured his arm during the game, his dominant arm. And he had to shoot with his right hand for free throws, and he finished the rest of the game. And I think he scored like a career high for his college career. And I think he shot 100% from the free throw line for the rest of that game on one arm. So shout out Herb Jones.
That's cold.
That's a dog.
It's like one of those weird fake Kobe gap milking stories. Kobe got run over by a semi truck, and then he came in the next day and he played all 84 minutes or something, and then dude, mama mentality. But yeah, I mean that's very cool. That's very cool. I mean, what else we could talk about? I mean, I guess some house cleaning things. I mean, speaking of injury returns and all of that, Victor Oladipo is rumored to come back from Miami on Monday versus Houston, and one thing we were talking about before we started recording this podcast is like who would he come in and replace? Because as Steve noted before, it was like every guy who's gotten minutes from Miami this year has been productive, and when they've been asked to play. I think again, you talk about Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Omer Yurtseven. I mean, who else am I missing? I mean, I guess like
Caleb Martin, very good this year.
Martin. Yeah, of course, right. Caleb Martin. It's like all these guys came in and are contributing greatly to the Heat. So it's like the question is like, whose minutes do you cut? For Oladipo, like, do you come in and give him the ball immediately, or do you put him off ball? Do you try to ease him in, or do you try to get him like a couple of like playmaking reps or whatever like that. I mean, it's going to be interesting how they handle his situation. I think Stephen Albert was talking about it in a party, like in a PlayStation party, like last week. I think it's just like, like if Oladipo can kind of, I'm not going to say he's come back and he's going to return to his, his second team All NBA form, but if he can come back and be productive for this Miami team, dude, like it'll be crazy. You know what I mean? Like if he can kind of bring back his defensive abilities a little bit, and then as well as I guess if he can find his footing again with that shot creation, I think like bro, that's another crazy weapon for Miami to have, and I think that just makes it even more scary for the playoffs again. If that translates, if it doesn't, then I mean it doesn't. You still have guys that have been doing their thing, but apart from that, I think just even at a minimum, I feel like if you ask him to do the minimum and he does that, then he like that could just be such an important piece for you. And I think again, I think I'm definitely gonna watch that game versus Houston because I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I'm a huge Oladipo fan, but I always liked his game a lot. Even though it got a little bit weird last year with with the Rockets and then his twilight part of his Pacers a career, but I think again like a Miami system where he could be brought in and probably be asked to do a little bit less and kind of be eased back in. At least in my opinion, probably gonna be eased back in. I don't think they're gonna rush him back, but it's definitely gonna be an interesting situation. But I think that question, like I said, it's like whose minutes does he take? Like what spot does he take? What position does he play? Is gonna be a very important factor. And I think obviously Spoelstra is probably like the smartest coach in the NBA. I think we all know that. So I think I mean I'm assuming they have a plan for it, but yeah, it's definitely a very interesting situation. How do you guys feel about Mr. Oladipo?
You can't really lose in the situation either because they've been like they're first in the East, and like I'm sure like people have forgotten that Oladipo is even there, and they're still doing this and like very successful. And now adding him on, I don't think it'll be a problem. Like minutes wise, I think like you said, it's Spoelstra. It's not just any coach. Like this is Eric Spoelstra. I think he'll figure it out, and I think he's smart enough to actually get him accumulated or no, sorry,
Acclimated.
acclimated. But I don't think there's going to be an issue too much. Like if this is a team that's like not like Miami's success right now. If they were like if Oladipo was there in the beginning of the season and contributing a lot, and they depended on him as much, then this would be a different story. But Miami's definitely proven themselves already to be fine without him, and just adding him back now is just like it's definitely a win. So I don't think there'll be a problem with minutes. I think they can like distribute it easily.
Yeah, I agree. Like with Oladipo's skill set, like even if he's not playing at an all-star level, he still has the skill set, like his length and his willingness to pass the ball, his shot creation. Like he's kind of already got that Miami type, skill set where he can just come and fit right in, even as a role player. If that's all he'll be, that's still another guy that they can play come playoff time that they could trust on the floor. Like you said, Chrissy, like they have all these guys that they've developed over the last year or two, like Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin this year has really played well in his spot minutes where he's been in and out of the starting lineup with a lot of people. Like that's another thing. Miami, they've had guys in and out of the lineup all year with injuries and COVID and everything. Like Jimmy Butler missed a good portion of the year in the beginning. Bam was out for over a month. Kyle Lowry's been out for personal reasons the last few weeks. So Gabe Vincent's gotten a lot of starting run. He's kind of turned into like a game manager for them where he can knock down his threes when when he needs to. He'll continue to move the ball. So like yeah, they don't really need much from Oladipo right now. So if they can just come get him into the game, kind of let him find his groove over these next few weeks while we're kind of getting towards the end of the season, they can see if he's someone they want to put in their playoff rotation. If not, they're deep enough to where they don't need to play him at all if he's not looking to.
How does a Jamaican guy say you're dead?
How does he say it?
You're dead, man. Dwayne Deadman.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Could you be Mo Harkless?
And then Kendrick Lamar, sit down, Biombo, dude.
Oh, That's what I thought that he said at first. I thought it was
Yeah, I don't know
shouting
why he
at
says it
him.
like that. Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's talk about another Eastern Conference title contender team. Joe Harris, former Cavs legend, is having season-ending surgery on his ankle, and I
Sorry,
mean,
Kyle.
yeah, R.I.P. Kyle,
Yeah.
eat doggy. But I mean, Joe Harris kind of disappeared this year, because I think he went out. Did he even play preseason this year?
He played a few games to start the year too.
Oh, okay, I guess he
I,
did
I
that.
think he played over 10 games actually. He played like the first 2 weeks, something like
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah, but I think with Joe Harris, you're talking about like the guy who led the league in 3-point percentage, and we know the I mean, I guess the caliber of shooter he is and how important he could be to this team. And I think kind of losing him for the rest of the year, especially when you're bringing in Ben Simmons and you what's it called? Need to maximize the I guess the role player shooters that you have. I guess losing him is definitely kind of an L. But again, like I said earlier, with the whole thing where if you can kind of identify an injury right now and get surgery on it as soon as possible and try to get back on the floor ASAP, the better. And I think hopefully he can come
Sure.
back, for the Nets next season, unless they try to like offload him in this summer for someone else. You never know, obviously, but I mean, it sucks to see this happen to a guy like him, but again, like I think this year, like after he got injured, like the news on him was very quiet for a bit, and you just didn't really get that many updates, and you kind of had a feeling that he wouldn't be back. So I mean, I can't say I'm surprised, but it's definitely very unfortunate to have it confirmed. And
Yeah.
uh, my fault. I mean, do you want to say something? I was going to go off the Ben Simmons thing. Unless you guys want to say
Yeah.
something else.
Like they like I feel like it would be more of a blow if they had him this year, but they've already kind of been operating without him, and I'm sure they knew back in their minds that they probably weren't going to have him back anyway, like you just said.
Right.
They brought in Seth Curry, who's going to fill a similar role. Like Joe Harris, he's not like a defensive stopper or anything, but he's a little bit better on that end than Seth Curry would be. But Seth Curry, he's had his moments, especially last year in the playoffs next to Embiid. He played really well. So, they kind of have him to fill that void, I guess, for now. But yeah, like especially with the lack of depth coming off the bench for them before the recent trade, like they haven't been looking good. They've been on a really bad stretch recently. I think right now they're 32-31, if I'm not mistaken, for eighth in the East. So once they get all their guys back, KD just came back today. So, and they lost to Miami actually without a lot of their guys. So, they've got to try to get healthy fast because they might, finish at the bottom. I don't think they're going to have home court advantage at all throughout the playoffs. So
They're like
they
5 games back of the 6th seed.
yeah,
Now they got to play in.
yeah, especially with Boston and Cleveland, like they're going to it's going to be tough for them to catch up to them right now. So they're probably going to finish like 7th or 8th. So they need to get their guys back fast. I was at the deadline. I was kind of scared. Like I feel like they knew that Harris was going to be out anyway, so I thought they were going to try to use his like 18 million or whatever. I think it's 18 million, his contract. I thought they were going to use the 2 picks they got from the Sixers trade. I thought they were going to use that to get like Jeremy Grant. I was so scared that was about to happen.
Yeah, there was a tweet. I think Woj said it was like, yeah, expect the Nets to be active with those picks and stuff that they got.
Yeah, they were trying to throw like him, Claxton, and those picks together to get something big or whatever at the last second, but nothing materialized.
I'm
I
not
guess.
surprised about Loki. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do something, so that was kind of scared me. I thought they were going to try to go all in, but I guess they figured that maybe there would be something else they can get this offseason once they see how the rest of their guys play together, and once Simmons is conditioned and back in the rotation for them. Like they're going to end up needing him because Kyrie's part time right now. We don't know if he's going to be able to play in the playoffs. Like I know there was that whole thing in the beginning where they said like that they could pay the fine for the home games if they wanted to have him play, but I don't know, the New York mayor with everything he said, it doesn't seem like he doesn't seem like he wants to change his mind. I don't know if he will end up doing it by that time, but I know they recently in New York they recently changed it so that way Kyrie. I know Kyrie's able to come into the building as a spectator now, but I think it's still that he won't be able to play as a competitor unless he has the vaccination. So yeah, it's just this is such a weird season for Brooklyn. All these like really unique circumstances are kind of holding them back, and I kind of feel bad for them because they were like on top of the world last year. They're like the most crazy what if team ever. I feel like.
Hmm. Yeah,
Right. Never even got to
like,
see an official look at that James Harden, KD, Kyrie thing, but yeah, my fault there.
and that they only played for like not even 15 games. Those three.
Right.
That's one of the craziest things. That adds on to the what if. But yeah, like just going off the Kyrie thing, if we could transition to Ben Simmons, like, well, today it was kind of refreshing. It was good to see that KD had a good game after he's been out for a little while, which was expected. I don't think he would be the type of player to come back and look kind of off. He's obviously a generational talent, so he looked pretty good. That's good for the Nets to see, for Nets fans to see. Um, but yeah, like Kyrie, that's like the biggest factor, especially in the playoffs. And if you're not able to play at home games, and it depends what's going on with the away games, I think you should be fine for away games. But home games, like that's your biggest thing, especially if you want to have home court advantage. You need to take advantage of your home games. And if he's not going to be able to play, then that's obviously going to be detrimental to the whole team and what they're trying to accomplish, along with like what's going on with Simmons. Hopefully, he can get back. Uh, I'm sure he's going to be back in time for the playoffs, but at least like be back a little bit sooner, so he can get like acclimated to the team. I'm sure I've seen some clips of them like on him on the bench and stuff like that. Like the chemistry seems to be good, but just like it's different when you're on the court. So like he's got to get acclimated on the court with those guys to see how they really fit and how they can actually work. So it's a lot of ifs going into the playoffs, which isn't really uh the best situation right now, along with them being the eighth seed. So they've got to figure a bunch of stuff out before the time comes, and in this time they'll be in the play-in tournament too. So and they got to watch out for that and can't underestimate the level of competition over there, because if you're in the eighth seed, if you drop down at least once, then it's one game elimination and you have to play two games. So it's gonna be a little uh it's gonna be a little tough. Uh but I mean, if you have KD on your team, you definitely have a lot of hope. Plus, like they have a lot of talent on that team. They're not just any eighth seed. So it's just a matter of getting acclimated and getting situated before the real deal, I think.
Yeah, and just real quick, like I know one of the biggest criticisms of the NBA, like for the last however many years, from other fans of different sports leagues, has been like the NBA is the most predictable league in sports. Everyone knows who's going to be in the finals by the end of the regular season. Everyone knows who like the best. Everyone knows the best players are the ones who carry the same teams to the finals every year. But this year, like especially like nobody knows who's going to come out of either the East or the West. Like I know the Suns are far ahead of everybody else in the West right now, but there's a lot of really good West teams too that can challenge them. And the East is especially wide open right now. There's like six to seven teams that can potentially like contend in the East right now. So I'm just thankful to be an NBA fan right now.
Yeah, facts, bro. And I think, dude, it's gonna be a crazy play-in playoff race. It's gonna be entertainment all over, I think. And we've got a question in the comments. John Dude asks, "How do the boys feel about James Harden effect on Tyrese Maxey since the trade?" Steve, since you're the Sixers fan, if you want to talk about that, go ahead.
I'm glad you asked that because I was just going to get into that next after this Nets talk. But yeah, Harden, this Sixers team, he made his debut last Friday against the Wolves, and they dominated that game. Embiid and Harden both getting to the line with ease. I feel like that's going to be that's going to turn into a thing with this team. People are going to be talking about that all the time, how they get to the line a lot, which, as an NBA fan, it's kind of frustrating also to watch. So I understand where people are coming from, but that's just the skill that both of them have at drawing fouls. They know what to do. They know how to maneuver the ball in a way where they can draw contact. So yeah, like I think that's going to be a really amazing duo on offense. You know, I see Embiid's gotten so many open looks. I saw a thing on Twitter yesterday that said that um Embiid, like I think Embiid's number of assisted shots from before the Harden trade to after is like incredibly different. Like I think he's like 70 something percent of his shots in these last 3 games have been assisted on, as opposed to like 27% before. I don't know if those are the exact numbers, but like it's in that range somewhere. But getting back to the question about Maxey and his development with Harden, yeah, he's looked incredible. It takes all the pressure away from him as a ball handler. Like that was my one main criticism of having Maxey as the starting point guard, is that I don't think he's ready as a decision maker yet to be the primary ball handler next to Embiid and to be the guy who's trying to find other guys to get open, because he just doesn't have that vision yet. You know, he's really young. He's quick with his feet. He's got a nice handle, so he's always looking to get to the basket and kind of get in floater range. And Harden has kind of brought a lot of the attention away from him. One thing that I've really liked so far is that he'll find Maxey spotting up for three, but then with Harden and Embiid just taking all of this attention away from him, it'll draw the defender out away from him. And then when the defender goes to close out on Maxey, he's using that really fast, quick first step that he has to get right by him and get an easy look in the paint. And he's really crafty with his finishes too. So if there's somebody down there, he's still getting contact or finishing down there at the same time. I've really loved how he's developed so far. He scored like 20 plus in all 3 games, I think. So yeah, that trio is looking really good on offense right now. Tobias, on the other hand, is still like trying to get acclimated with this offense. One thing that I've said is that, you know, he's doing what he needs to. He's not like trying to force anything or take the ball away from anybody else in the offense right now. He's like, you know, spotting up. I still wish he would take more of the spot up threes that he gets off of the looks from Harden and Embiid, but you know, at least he's not like doing anything like detrimental on offense. He's also not helping either, which is unfortunate. But you know, the team's asking him to do something that's not really his game. So, you know, it's still good to have a guy like Tobias in the playoffs. When you have Harden and Embiid off the floor, you can still go to him with like a bench unit, and you know you can trust him with the ball to make some good plays and get some shots off. He's really good in the mid-range area, so that's something you like to have with half-court offense in the playoffs. Wait,
Yeah.
there's my Sixers rant.
Let me just say, like I said, you know, Embiid and Harden. Embiid's my favorite center, I guess. Harden's my favorite shooting guard, not named Colin Sexton. So, like I said, I'm a Sixers fan, but not just watching the games though. Dude, it's like, okay, right now in the regular season, like they've been an insane pairing, and I think, you know, Tyrese Maxey, I think he's filled in like it's like a perfect seamless like fit, you know what I mean? And I think having Harden come in kind of helps Maxey not have to do too much and worry about too much. And dude, it's great. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from them. And I think you know, in the playoffs again, even though Harden's my boy, obviously doesn't have the greatest track record in the playoffs. So again, hopefully this year that could change. And then, you know, Maxey, he's only a second year guy. Yes. Second year. Right. Second year guy. So obviously that is just something to remember. But again, you know, I think just the fact that, you know, he's not asked to, you know, go out there and be that number 2 and, you know, kind of compliment and beat out there is very important for him. And I think, you know, learning from Harden, I think there's like really no other better, you know, guard to really learn from right now. So, or at least for Maxey, I would say, in terms of, you know, utilizing his body and how to, you know, draw contact and all of that. So I feel like, you know, in terms of all of that, you know, it's very good. And Aaron, I don't want to steal your comment that you said earlier, but I think it was like, I think we were watching last night's game or something, and he was saying that, you know, Sixers tried to offload Tobias in the offseason for some bench pieces. And yeah, even though he's been, you know, doing his right thing on the offense, I mean, it's true. I feel like if you can kind of try to flip him and try to, you know, bolster your second unit a little bit, I think that'll make the Sixers even more scarier. Not for the Cavs, but, you know, for everyone else. And yeah, man, I mean, I think, look, I mean, I'm not even a Sixers fan, but I mean, I guess, you know, seeing stuff like this happen is definitely very, I don't even know what the word to describe it. I think is invigorating. It's exciting, and Sean Roy is my best friend.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Tobias too because like
I don't.
he's he, shut the fuck up. But
You know why? You know, wait, hold on. First of all, that's illegal, Steve. Second of all, Kevin Love is a better fit for this Sixers team. That's all I gotta say. Anyway, yes, proceed.
but yeah, it's just like he's still a really good player. With the Clippers, he had his really good moments on that team, and coming to the Sixers, they kind of expected him after that really good year with the Clippers to come in and be like a third option, and then with everything that happened with Jimmy leaving and the whole Simmons situation, he kind of got forced into a position where he had to be the second option, and the obviously the front office put him in that position after giving him the contract they did. So the public perception of him kind of like came to expect him to be like this really good all-star level player. And now he's just never been that guy though. So I hope he does. I hope we do find a team for him if things don't end up working out here this postseason.
Yeah, most def. And quick game break. Aaron, I don't know if you're watching this, but you seeing this Wayne Ellington take over and the Wenyen Gabriel 3. I think there are some.
I haven't. No,
Oh well,
but
I mean,
I
they've
see
been
where we lost already. But
And that's momentum going into the next game, Aaron. Don't worry about it.
yeah, facts. But
yeah,
I mean, look, like I said, at this point, dude, like I think if I'm Vogel, I would bring Russ off the bench. I would play DJ Moore, probably even start DJ. Uh, Gabriel, he kind of look a little bit solid out there. And then, dude, honestly, if you can just have Ellington in the catch and shoot 3 and D guy, I know it hasn't been as advertised, but look, dude, it's like, dude, just might as well just shake things up, bro. There's no point in doing the same lineups over and over again, bro. It's like he's probably fired after this season. You might as well just try something, you know what I mean? But
well,
Well, actually, Christy, Russell Westbrook was a minus 15 this game. LeBron was a minus 27. So take that as you will.
Reggie
And
Jackson was a plus 44. I think I saw
yep,
today.
that's kind of ridiculous.
Incredible.
there you go. And what's it called? There was a moment there when Russ and Reggie Jackson got into a pickle, and I'm like, damn, OKC legend, beef, you know what I mean? But I guess that's kind of crazy. But
Speaking of the Lakers, Aaron, what as a Sixers fan, what should I expect to get from DeAndre Jordan joining my basketball team?
Just like what you had with. Well, actually, I'm not going to compare them to Dwight and Andre, especially Dwight, because Dwight is better than both. But
yeah,
you could expect some lobs here and there. Maybe it depends how many minutes he gets. He's not going to get as many minutes before as like the beginning of the season Lakers when he was starting. So, I mean, like I don't know. Like I feel like this is obviously not the best option, but I don't think you should overreact too much. Even if you aren't, but like I don't know. It's like I don't think he's gonna take up that many minutes. But then again, it is kind of questionable why the Sixers were so openly aggressive to get him. I don't see like
we also helped you out too because instead of just waiting for him to like clear waivers, we took him off of the waiver market, which means I think we saved you like
saved
$5 million in tax or something like that.
5 million.
Something like
I
it was
didn't know.
something
I didn't know
like that.
about 5 million. I thought it was like a million or something, like his contract worth. But what should you expect? Shouldn't really expect much. I feel like with like he could be a lob threat still with like Harden and like Maxi driving in, depending like on what unit he runs with and how Doc uses him. But I mean, that's all you really can expect is a lob threat because he's not really doing any post ups or anything anymore. He's not going to really run the floor. If he does, then he'll probably have that one time he runs the floor. Maybe he can get like a fast break oop here and there. I don't really think you should be expecting too much, but
Yeah,
uh,
as long as he's not playing come playoff time, then I'm fine with it. Uh, yeah, because I saw on Twitter like people were saying like yeah, some people were like overreacting to it, saying like this is gonna like kill us in the playoffs because like uh people were referencing like 2019 when we played Greg Monroe like 9 minutes a game and we got killed in those 9 minutes every single night, which is a good point, but like I don't know. I feel like Doc's learned. Oh, I'm not going to say I feel like he has because he hasn't in so many years, but hopefully based on how the rotation he's been running recently, I feel like Doc's kind of learned his lesson. He's not going to run like all bench units like they have in the past, and he's going to, if anything, he'll have Harden there with him, and he'll just like kind of run some pick and rolls in that regard. So I don't think it's going to be like completely detrimental, but I also hope that it doesn't get out of hand because I know Doc loves to play his backup bigs.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be too that big of a deal. Like, I'm sure there were, like, on top of my head, some better, like, well, I can't really think of any on the top of my head. But I'm kind of surprised that they let Willie Cauley-Stein go in like 3 days' time just to get DeAndre. But I don't know. It's worth a shot at this
That's a
point.
good point. I thought
See
they
what
were going to
happens.
run with.
I kind of like the Willie signing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought they were going to try to give him a little bit of a run, see what he could do. But
He's kind of like he's younger and he's like he's pretty. I'd say he's more athletic. So like, I don't know what more you need.
He was
I don't know
pretty sturdy with the Mavs.
Yeah, I don't see like why. I don't see. I don't know. I feel like they just went after DeAndre because they know that he could be a lob threat.
Yeah,
speaking
my
of
man's got signed to a 10-day and then got cut after like 4 days.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
no, but speaking of ex-Mavs centers, they should have signed Salah Mejri.
Oh, do you remember? I think it was Luka's rookie year where they had Salah Mejri, and then like around the buyout market time they cut him, and then Luka was like, "Nah, he's my friend. I didn't want him to leave," and then they just signed him back 2 days later.
Yeah,
it's like my league.
Nah, they cut him
I
so
know that.
they could do what I did with Dean Wade and offer him a max.
No, but then you had to release Kyle Guy of his max in
Oh,
order to
that's
sign
true.
him.
I had to, unfortunately, yeah. I had to waive a max.
Imagine releasing a max player. Like imagine the cap hit on your team. Like it'd be awful. You're just going bankruptcy at the point.
Bro.
Oh, Aaron, did you see that? Well, I don't think this is going to happen, but I saw someone on Twitter suggest that the Lakers in the offseason stretch and waive Russell Westbrook and kind of similar to how they did with Luol Deng and just pay him small amounts over the next however many years.
That's not worth it at this point. I feel like I mean, you saw the report that they're trying to they're mutually trying to part ways in the summer.
Is that a real
so
report?
I saw that report.
Apparently, I guess so.
I saw that report, and then I saw another one that was weird too about people mutually agreeing to part ways. I forget who it was though, but it's why are I feel like these conversations aren't going on at this point in the season.
Yeah,
that just sounds like some BS report to me that they're just trying to get headlines.
He's been trying hard to go back to LA, so it's I don't think that. If anything, it's probably in the Lakers' interest, but not a mutual interest. I don't think that really makes any sense. But
yeah, you're in the middle of the season. Why would you go up to your player and be like, "Hey, you down to go somewhere else after the season?" I know we're kind of trying to make a playoff push here, but
Yeah, that's just weird. I that's what I don't know if I really buy that. And speaking of a report that I don't really buy, I mean, I guess we talk about that real quick, just because I don't know how long it's been going on, but we also got to talk about something else. But quick thing that I wanted to bring up was a report by Bill Simmons that apparently the NBA was eyeing, I think Seattle and Las Vegas as expansion cities, and we could probably do a whole episode on what cities we would like to see an expansion team. We could probably do a whole thing about that later. But
that could be an off-season topic. That'd be cool.
Yeah, off-season topic. But for right now, it's Bill Simmons, so I don't really know how true it is. But I feel like.
What sources does he have on that the expansion team? Out of all
he
people?
worked with ESPN, so I know he talks to people and stuff probably, but I don't know how true it is.
Yeah,
but I think it's just very interesting as well, because I think the NBA also has to do a whole thing where they got to balance out a conference, and if they're adding 2 more Western Conference teams, I guess what are they going to do with the East and all of that, and they're going to try to start a team in Mexico City and all of that. So I feel like. It's a lot of weird news coming out right now, but I guess got to navigate our way through it. Just wait for the season to end and worry about that stuff later. But
I love the idea of an expansion, though.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Imagine
a lot of talented players.
It shouldn't go to Vegas, though. I don't like Vegas. It's gonna be similar to the Raiders, bro. It's everything's gonna go. It's gonna be.
Christy, save that for the backfield spacers, please.
All right, my fault. First thing I did better, except Mariota, because Mariota is a thorough individual, 10 toes down. Anyway, moving on to the final leg of the podcast. So if the season ended today, what potential playoff matchups would we really like to see?
Let's each
Um,
give one, like whether it be a fun playoff matchup or like just in terms of maybe like a storyline. Like I don't know, just like
I gotta
one from
look at
each
the
conference or
standings.
one from overall?
just overall, like if you want to say a finals matchup, like cool. Uh, but or just like with how the standings look now, like what could be realistic. Personally, for me, one playoff matchup that I would really love to see in the East would be I just want to see the Bulls against like one of the other top tier teams. Like I would love to see like a Bulls and Celtics series, like a 4-5 matchup maybe,
Yeah.
because I just want to see like I know the Bulls have been really good this whole season, and DeRozan's been doing his thing. He's going to be like top four in MVP race, and I just want to see how they compare to like another team around that level, like Boston, just to kind of get a grasp of are they real contenders or are they like kind of pretenders in that sense. And
Well,
I feel like that could be a really good matchup because they had some really good games like earlier on this season too.
yeah, and there was that stat that came out that I think person sent in the group chat, but it was like how they're struggling against the 0.600 teams, I think, and I think just general the consensus I
Two
feel
and
like
12.
yeah, and I feel like no I mean I guess it makes sense why, but people aren't really giving them the respect in terms of what they can do in the playoffs. I mean, and if you look at it too, I mean, DeRozan, historically hasn't really been the best, playoff contributor. Um, I mean, Zach Levine. I mean, what? I mean, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about there. Same thing with Lonzo. It's just like I like nothing really. And then like I think like the only one with actual like legitimate playoff experience that we actually talk about is Caruso, because he won a championship with the Lakers. But I mean, outside of him, there's just really no one else. I think, and that's just like yeah, that's definitely one thing that does worry me about that Bulls team. And I mean, it's true too. I mean, I just don't know like how good they really are. I mean, I feel like um I mean, look, if they can play like this in the playoffs, I know I just said that like 20 times in this episode, but um, if like on paper, like I think they have the talent to make it out of the East. Honestly, me personally, I feel like they could, but it's just a matter of them coming together and actually being able to put it together. And just the fact that no one really has experience like that is definitely a worrying thing. But yeah, I
I
mean,
know
but
they're
yeah,
like their guards like Lonzo and Caruso have been kind of like their anchors on defense, which is unusual for typical NBA defenses.
yeah,
But in the playoffs, I don't know how effective that's going to be because a lot of the Bulls' offense in the beginning of the season was coming from Lonzo and Caruso like getting steals and then turning that into transition offense. When in the playoffs, things tend to slow down and turn to half court offense, which the Bulls have DeRozan and Levine too. Like
yeah.
they're no slouch in half court offense either. They have those guys you can turn to. But my concern for them is on defense. Like I said before the season, the reason I had the Bulls I was never high on the Bulls to begin with. I had them as like a play-in team when we did our like podcast preseason. But the same thing goes here. Like the reason that I don't see them making it too far is because of their defense. Vucevic, I feel like is going to get killed in the playoffs by guys like Giannis or Embiid or the Celtics like having Tatum or Brown switch onto him. Like he's going to I feel like he's going to get exposed, and they don't really have many options in regards to like other bigs in their rotation. Like and they have a lot of guards who have kind of stepped up this year with Lonzo Caruso coming back, and then they have Io who's playing really well in their absence. Kobe White's been really good, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like what kind of lineups they run. Like they might turn some really small lineups because those are who a lot of their best players have been this year and their most trustworthy players.
Speaking of which, I'm sorry, Nick Lyden said Harden to Jordan lobs could be crazy. Um,
Yeah, maybe in 2015 that would have been cool.
He can
Nick
still get up there.
yeah, somewhat. I'm kind of surprised that like I thought he'd have less, but I mean, I guess if you want to ask me about a playoff situation that would be kind of interesting, I'm gonna say screw you guys and go with a biased take. I think the Cavs.
Wow, what a surprise!
Yeah, right. Like Cavs versus anyone. The reason I'm saying is because
Cavs versus anyone.
I
So
felt
like
like
literally anyone.
I felt like I mean I'm talking about the Cavs really in a minute. I just wanted to say something real quick because I mean look, all right, first of all, I was telling Mr. John Jacob this earlier, I think this week or last week, but this season, ever since September, ever since like yeah. Yeah, well, ever since the Colin Sexton injury, I feel like it's kind of been a Mickey Mouse year, low key. And let me explain myself. And the reason why I think that is because Colin Sexton is literally a huge part of this team, and the fact that he went out and we have no idea what this team looks like with him. We don't have a large enough sample size with him on the floor. Is low-key pretty Mickey Mouse already. And then when you consider the fact that we lost Ricky Rubio to an ACL injury in December, which again got rid of another perimeter threat for us, and it's kind of screwed us over for the rest of the year. I think it is terrible, and I think, and right after that, we lost DG to his back issues, and that's like an on again, off again thing. And then we got Levert, and then Levert has a sprained foot, and then we had Rondo, and then now Rondo's out for like a big toe injury. So then all these, and then we had Lauri Markkanen go out for a month and a half because he had a high ankle sprain. So it's just like so far, it's been definitely Mickey Mouse year because we haven't gotten an actual like look at what this Cavs team could do, and it's kind of annoying as a fan. But at the same time, like the fact that they kind of persevered and did a lot of stuff it makes me happy, I guess, and it kind of has me excited for next season. Again, hoping that guys can be healthy. But I mean, in the playoffs, I think, like for me, I think making the playoffs this year or a playoff play-in appearance was a win in my book. I didn't think we were going to get off to this much of a crazy start. But I mean, right now we're in a little bit of a rough patch. Again, I hope that they can flip the switch. But I'm assuming that we stay in this 4, 5, 6 range. I don't know who else is going to join us, but I feel like a Cavs Celtics series would be pretty interesting. A Cavs Raptors series would be really fun. And I remember I was listening to this one podcast earlier, and they were saying, I think this one like Heat beat reporter guy was saying that he doesn't want the Heat to play the Cavs because the length could kind of really potentially mess up the Heat's game plan. And same thing. I think someone from a Bucks beat reporter said the same thing too. How they were worried about how the Cavs length could impact stuff like that. And kind of to hear that as a Cavs fan is definitely kind of like very very inspiring. Again, we're not even supposed to really be here. I'm not even going to say like, oh, we're big dilfs now. We still have a long way to go. Again, it's a Mickey Mouse year sort of, but I think I kind of want to see how we stack up against these other teams, especially missing half of our guys. I want to see like where we are right now, and then what's next you're going to look like with a Colin Sexton return. What's next you're going to look like with hopefully a healthy Caris and an extended Caris, and maybe hopefully a Rubio, and whatever additions we decide to make. So for me, like obviously there's other like more series and more teams to pay attention to, more storylines that are better. But for a fan, like I just want to talk about that real quick. It's like I haven't talked about the Cavs in a minute. And I think just a quick like situation update. Like I just want to see where we're at, in relative to other teams, and I'm definitely excited for the postseason, no matter what happens from here on out. I think it's a very low chance that we slip out of the play-in, or I don't think we'll be in the play-in team. I think we're still gonna be a playoff team, but we're sure as hell not gonna be, out of the play-in, or you know what I mean, in the lottery range. I'm sorry, Aaron, but but I mean, I still love this team so much. I just want to say that real quick, just because I had to talk about that. But obviously, there's more series I want to talk about, but for the sake of time, I don't want to talk too much. But yeah, Aaron, I mean, how do you feel? Feel how you feel?
Just real quick. Also, I also miss fun Cavaliers basketball from the beginning of the season when they were healthy.
Right.
These last few weeks have been pretty rough to watch with all the injuries and with Brandon Goodwin running the show. No disrespect to him because he's actually been pretty solid. But
he's been doing his thing, right? But I mean, he's not. If he's playing the brunt of the point guard minutes, it's not. Something's not right. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but also we have a few comments, Christy, in regards to you.
Yeah.
John Dude says Cavs first round exit. Nate with an up carrot agreeing, and then Nick saying Cavs would have won the chip if they had Rubio.
Rick is not lying because he is the cousin of Ricky Rubio. And Jizon, keep that same energy because it's funny. Steve, I love you, and I love all my Sixers fans. I love the Sixers, but it's just funny that we were in the finals in 2018, but right now we already have a contention team. But that's just none of my business, and I'm gonna
I
smoke.
don't know if I'd
I'm
say
gonna
contention.
smoke this Sixers pack. Like, okay, I'm sorry.
All
But
right, Mark Jones. Aaron, your series.
Go real quick as my phone is literally about to die. But I just want to. I think I speak for a lot of people in going with the basic answer and saying that this is a possibility that it happen that it's gonna be Nets and Sixers in the first round potentially, which would literally be like one of the craziest like storylines I think we could all imagine. Just imagine like I couldn't even imagine like the matchups and like with all the Simmons going back to Philly and the Harden going back to um, to Brooklyn. Like matchup wise, it's gonna be insane, and like just the storyline is gonna be insane itself. So like I don't know if all teams are healthy, it definitely could go 50-50 in my opinion. It just all depends on how like if the Nets become healthy again and if the Sixers keep on their momentum right now. If they keep their momentum right now, it's going to be really tough for Brooklyn, but that would be an insane matchup. I'm sure a lot of the league would be very interested in.
For sure. Note number one, of course, Aaron picks the basic answer. What a surprise.
I mean, who doesn't want to see that though? Like,
I
literally,
mean, no,
that's
you're
probably
not
like
wrong. You're not wrong.
that's probably like yeah.
But and then note number two, if that series does end up happening, I am 100% going to splurge no matter what the price is.
I
And I'm
was just
going
gonna
to go to
ask
the
that.
game.
Do you guys want to buy tickets for that and then buy tickets
I'm
for the Sixers
100% down. I don't care what the price is. I'll
conference
be there.
finals? No, that's gonna be crazy though. I agree. I think if I can secure the funds to go to that game, that'd be crazy for sure. Um, but
But yeah, first we'll be at that game tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Like hopefully the Cavs can flip a switch. Darius said that they're gonna make some changes and that we'll see. So hopefully they do that tomorrow. I don't want to get embarrassed because we've been playing kind of poopy recently, but whatever.
There's going to be 2 games in a row where you're going to have to be calling in WIP as a sad cat. Well, last time you were calling in as a happy Sixers fan, but giving some respect to the young Cavs team. But this time you might have to call in as a sad Cavs fan because we're going to be splitting that Cleveland pack for the second straight game.
Oh, okay. Understandable. Well, that's fine because we have 2 Cavs home games versus Sixers coming up. So I think we're gonna dick y'all there, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. It's the 16th episode of the podcast. We should be like probably past 20, but obviously we're working towards it. But the boys and I were talking, and we're gonna try to shoot for Saturday night uploads. We're gonna try to go live at like 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna try that, I guess. I mean, probably can't do it this week, but probably definitely next
Starting
week.
next week, definitely.
But yeah, just try to get a sense of continuity out there, and just so people can actually tune in at the same time and know what to expect. But if you're listening to this podcast live on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, appreciate that as well. And please do run up the numbers and give us 5 stars and subscribe and click that notification bell just so that you know when the uploads come out. And same thing with YouTube too. I mean, turn on the go live notifications because YouTube will tell you when we're going live. So, maximize those numbers, cook them books up, run them numbers up. And thank you guys so much for the support. I, as always, am not Sean Roy, but I am Christy, and I am signing off. And boys, if you want to say goodbye to the boys, please say goodbye to the boys. Thank you.
Peace.
So long, everyone, and let's go Sixers.
Boo!
Boo.
10-9-8 Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers.
Ratio.
L.
All right. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.